Thank you, really, all of you, for coming out today. My name is Edmund Dueck. I am the marketing manager for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And just recently, I also took over responsibility on the general manager side for Germany, Austria, Switzerland. I get to travel a lot and meet different people, but it is my pleasure really to do this event with you. And thank you for coming out also on such a beautiful day outside, this beautiful weather, but also on such a remembranceful day. We are aware that this day is very special for the Polish people and a very sad day for the Polish people, and so we mourn with you as this day processes on. Now, I just really quickly, before I start talking, I would like to know how many of you guys are on the IT side? Just raise your hands. Like, how many project managers, IT majority? How many of you guys are marketing people? Is there? Oh, good. Oh, okay, good. So I am not alone. That's very good. And you know, we like to start. We put a program together for you today that we think it is good to get to know Liferay or to get to the next step of Liferay. I'm not sure if you're a customer already or if you just came out because you wanted to get to know us. And we put a program together for you that I think will match both marketing and IT. Now, for all of you guys who are in IT, and I know you have very busy schedules, I know you have a lot in your mind, you probably are thinking about some problem back at work right now that you need to fix, and so you're taking your time. And so I would like to invite you in this journey together today. And I would like to start to say that marketing and IT, or business and IT, has to work closer together today. Yes? And so if you look at this presentation, especially my presentation, from this angle, I would really appreciate it. That would be my invitation. Now, if I had some time with you in the elevator, let's say we meet in an elevator, and you ask me, what do you do for a living? Then I would really quickly introduce myself and the company in this way. Liferay has been around for 14 years. We have over 5 million downloads for our software worldwide. We have over 195,000 people in our community. Again, not everybody is obviously the same way engaged with Liferay, but we are very, very proud to be an open source platform, and the people are very engaged in language translation and submitting code and bringing new ideas, and that has been from the beginning, and we have grown. Now we have over 800 people worldwide who are employees of Liferay. We have grown tremendously. When I joined the company 6 years ago, it was only 250, so we have experienced some really good growth. And this is a number that we're very proud of. This is the amount of investment capital, venture capital, or any amount of capital from the outside to the company. Since the beginning, we have been growing organically, and we have never taken any VC capital. We've never been bought or sold, and so this gives us a lot of privilege and freedom to act in the way that we want to do. If you're familiar with Gartner, they have for over years, excuse me, they have the Magic Quadrant for portals. Last year they discontinued the Magic Quadrant for portals, and they said we're going to introduce something that's called digital experience platforms. And they put us right next to Adobe Sitecore and IBM. And so for us it's a very, very great privilege, right, to be in this market and build things together with the others. Now, I'm not sure when was the last time that you had this reaction, like this little girl. When was the last time that something, you saw something, you heard something, and you were like, wow, that's amazing, that is great, that is something I like. For me, last year, this was one of the moments when I learned about this piece of architecture. This is a bridge, suspension bridge. It's over 300 meters long. It hangs 100 meters over the valley. There's a brook down there, right? It's an amazing piece of architecture. And you know, many people go there, but the amazing piece is not how it is built or how high it is hanging. The amazing thing about this, where it is, and who built this actually. This is in the middle of Germany. If you've been to Germany, there are small villages in Germany all over, right? There's big cities and then there's small villages. And there's this village called Mörsdorf. Mörsdorf is in the middle of nowhere. 600 people living there. Yes, and as somebody had the idea, let's bring something new to the village. Let's bring more people, more tourists. Again, it's about 1.5, 2 hours from Frankfurt airport. If you've been there, you have to drive, and then there's woods, and there's this village, and then there's the bridge. But they wanted to do something special for their community. They wanted to do something special to revitalize the village. And so they said, let's build this bridge. Somebody had this idea. They got the money together. Of course, it didn't happen overnight, right? But it finally was built. And when they built this, they realized this is popular. It's amazing. People are coming from all over, so they had problems that they didn't have before. For example, I think this is the only village that has resident parking in Germany. You're not allowed to park in the village because then the residents don't have any parking spots. You have to park outside. And then people were still coming and they realized, hey, we don't have enough facilities, right? So they now have a budget for toilet paper, okay? In this little village. And this bridge is about 2.5 years old. And since the bridge was there, 500,000 people came to see the bridge and to walk across. And I would like to take this as an example. We talk about digital transformation a lot. You heard so many examples, you cannot hear them anymore, especially the IT people. You cannot hear about Uber and Airbnb and Amazon. Yes, we know they do things good and they're growing. So I thought I'll take this analog example and we talk about not digital transformation, but about you. Because I don't know things about you, but one thing I know about everybody in this room, right? You are a digital leader. And what do digital leaders today have to do? It's not easy. And it doesn't matter if it's in Spain or if it's Germany, if it is Poland or if it's Czech Republic. Right now, in the digital transformation, we're expected to do these things, right? Coordinate and manage change. There's many things that demand progress quickly. We have to work closely with other decision makers. We have to bring bold vision, new ideas, and we have to navigate complex org structures, especially if you're a traditional company or firm, maybe a bank or a government organization. There are several hurdles that are set up for you, and so you have to do this, right? And if you summarize all of this, if you put this all together in one sentence, I'd like to put it like this, right? You have to create and keep momentum, right? We need to start going, and we need to keep going, yes? And so I would like today to talk with you about 3 things that I learned about creating and keeping momentum in the digital transformation. And I hope they will be helpful for you. Some of it is inspirational, some of it is storytelling, some of it is IT. It's all mixed together. The first one is, I think we need to be extremely positive about our situation as people in IT and as people in marketing, as people in business. If we don't have a positive attitude about a project, about the technology, about the things that we do day to day, it will be very difficult in the long run. This is what somebody says in Germany. He has the same last name, but I'm not related to him in any way. But I read his blog. Edmund Dueck, he's been around for a while. He speaks at conferences, and this is what he says. And I shared this recently with somebody in a very big corporation in Germany, 24,000 people, international. They have a lot of systems, and they need to bring things together. And they said, well, what does this mean? Does this mean we don't have to digitize? Does it mean we need to put our head in the sand and just kind of not be proactive anymore as IT people? And it's not what it means. But he makes a really good point. And especially if you don't work in a startup, if right now you don't start from scratch, you have this problem. You have systems that you paid a lot of money for. You have systems that you spent a lot of time developing, or the marketing people, right? We have systems that we need to run, database, all that stuff, right? But we know that they are not enough to be successful tomorrow. Okay? And in fact, not only Günter Dück says this, Gartner says this too. I'm not sure if you agree or not, right? And if this encourages you or not, but they say 90% of the systems will still be in use, right? I mean, depending on what you have built, this is good news or really bad news for you, right? It's true. It's true. But see, the thing is this, right? If we look at all these numbers and we know this, it could be very easy to be depressed. Could be very easy to be depressed. I have a friend. He works as a community manager. He talks about developers and about people who get depressed and how to get out of depression. And if you look at this, it is easy to be like, oh no. Yeah? But we have to stay positive. Because if we don't stay positive, it will not help us, right? And will not bring our organizations forward. I would like to introduce you to one lady. She's from the States. She is one of the most positive people I ever met, right? Her name is Ann Anderson. She works for the company called HP, Hewlett Packard, right? They recently split up. It's a very big division that she's looking. And HP had the same problem. Yes, they had a partner network. They do a lot of business with partners. Maybe you know HP, actually work with them here, I don't know. They do a lot of business with partners. And they had different systems set up. And they did a survey and they said, hey, we have 650,000 users in 174 countries across 25 languages, and we need to make this better. I'm not sure about the size of your project. These numbers bring respect to me, right? And they started with doing a survey. How do you start? You gather requirements, you gather feedback in the beginning, yes. So they did, and they got 10,000 survey comments. And Ann Anderson and her team, they said, okay, you know what? We need to bring all of this together. We have this system, and people look in here and there, and they look for information here, but the information is actually here. But you know that information is power, so they cannot sell. And so they said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring it all on one platform. We're gonna do single sign-on. And it doesn't matter if the people go online in Singapore or for the United States, in Europe, or somewhere in Australia, we want to have the same performance. Okay? And they did this, it didn't happen overnight. They did the same thing, but now they have one platform for all of their partners. They sign on, and they figured out, and I mean, it's a little bit American, right? But they figured out the people who are going on the platform regularly, talking about output. The people who use it regularly, get the information in the right place, they perform 17 times higher than people who don't. Yeah? So that's good news for them. And what else is good news? They were voted the best rated portal by the partners who have several vendors that they work with, right? And Ann Anderson, she says, when we did this, when we brought everything on one platform, we moved from uncompetitive to competitive. Now, this is the same idea. This is the same idea that the people with the bridge had, right? Here, this is where it is. This is where the bridge is, right? The village is here, around here. You don't even see it. You have to walk to the bridge. Now, people in marketing, look here. This is an old screenshot. They have over 1,000 things right now. over 4.6 stars. There's people from China and people from Germany. There's Americans coming to see this bridge. Interesting fact, 30% of the people, they come to the bridge, never walk across. They're afraid, or they're, because it sways a little bit. But this is cool. Like, they did this without a lot of marketing. There was, of course, newspaper articles, right, and everything there, but they did this without a lot of, the budgets and billboards and all that stuff. And I like this thing. And in fact, here's what people say, here's what the marketing people say to you, IT people, right? To me too. We spend about 21% of the budget we spend on technology right now in marketing. But the people who spend it, they say, 40% of people, they say, we don't have enough technology to do what we want to do. And sometimes, of course, it is a problem of technology, but I think a lot of times it's the way we look at things, okay? It's the way marketing people look at things, it's the way the IT people look at things. And so I think the first principle is to have really great positive things, positive attitude as it comes to your project. The next one, this is the next one principle. It's called innovative grit. Basically, it's you and I, we need to work hard. Okay, we need to work hard. A lot of people say that right now, this is the age of the customer. Have you heard this? How many people say, have heard the customer needs to be first? Lift your hand. Well, it's good, a poor one too, yeah? But let me ask you this, it doesn't matter where you live. The customer, when was the customer not first? The customer was always first. Because if the customer was not first, he would go somewhere else. Of course, people have more choice now than ever. They can go to somewhere different shop online, they can look. But the customer was always first, right? We need to realize that in order to reach the customer, maybe we need to work harder because there's more choice, but the customer was always first. And I have somebody I met, and I have great respect for this gentleman, Piotr Leszczowska. I met him in Prague last year in September. Right? I went there for an interview. They have a platform, they're a bank that gives loans to people to buy houses and apartments. If you're in that sector right now, it's difficult, right? Because the interest rates are low. And I was talking to him about using Liferay and what his experience is with customer service, etc. And when I walked into his office, I noticed this. I'm not kidding you, this bike is in his office, in the corner office, right? Is this old bike. I come in, I say, what is with this bike? And he says, my colleagues, they gave this to me. I ride my mountain bike a lot. And sometimes I get hurt. I break my shoulder, right? I have busted up knees. And so they gave me this bike to say, hey, maybe you could ride a little bit slower. Yes? If the colleagues tell you this, it's a message, yeah? He says, and it's true. And then he says, it's the same for digital transformation, IT projects. Some people say this is, evolution of things. IT evolving and bring new business and new systems. But he says it's not evolution, it's revolution. And he said, in the context of using Liferay and building one platform, right, in this very competitive environment, he says, we're helping people to be brave right now, to buy houses, to do things, and it's hard work. To bring it back to the bridge example, it was very hard work for them too. They had this idea, right? You have an idea, but then you need to get the money, okay? They said, hey, we have this idea, we built this bridge, we go get the money, and you can find this on the internet. You can find this. It's a 7-page paper. This is a response from a foundation or official government thing, and they basically said, we don't give you any money. Why? The bridge will be a failure. Yeah? And they said, here, look at this. This is the stuff in the area. that you can visit. And this is the average amount of visitors. The best thing nearby, it's about 2 hours away from Frankfurt, is a beautiful old castle. Nicely done, right? Burg Els, if you've been there, Burg Els. Really nice castle. And they say, maximum per year, 250,000 people. You will never reach that. They said, we think we're going to get 100,000. You will never reach that. That's why we don't get you any money. And the people there, they said, okay, we get the money somewhere else. They did fundraising. They went to the European Union. They got the stuff from somewhere else, and they built the bridge. But it was very, very hard work. And it is the same for your project, right? You have a project, and you believe in it. You say it's not just an evolution, it's revolution. And I would like to say to you, you need to stick with it. It is hard work for everybody, right? It doesn't matter where you are. Now, we understand this. What is the third principle? I think the third principle is authentic empathy. Now, this sounds very marketing mushy kind of stuff. Let me explain, right? When we talk about what makes a customer experience great, right? It's three things. When you go on a website, when you go for a service, when you go into a store, it needs to have three things. It needs to be effective, it needs to be easy, and it needs to bring a positive emotion in the customer. Even if you work in IT, these are the three things that you ultimately work towards in your projects. Your website needs to be mobile friendly. Yeah? And if it's longer than 2 seconds, the people, they click away. Right? If it is not easy to use once it is there, they get frustrated. Right? And then above all, it needs to get the emotion part right. Now, here's the thing that we don't understand about this. Even if this happens, and the people are happily using your bank product, your website, they buy stuff from your internet, they go to your portal, there is a moment of truth and a moment of connection. The moment of truth comes, you buy a new car, right? You drive it, it's nice, and then the moment of truth comes, it breaks down the first time, right? Something doesn't work, the electricity, whatever, right? And then either you have a bad experience, emotion, or you have good experience. You have a moment of connection. If the person says to you, hey, it broke down, but it's still warranty, it's free of charge, I give it to you, right? Or if in the store, I went to buy a shirt recently, and then I said, hey, I also want to buy a belt, right? But it's too expensive. And the person said, I can do something about it. It's a positive emotion. I go back there again. Okay? Now, for everyone who says, oh, yes, Eddie, but it is a digital transformation, everything is digital, we need to get people into the door, here's what I think you should do. Right? Here's what I think you should do. You should never act on the internet like you would not act in the store. Okay? You should just never do that. Imagine somebody comes into your store, you step out in front of him and say, here's my business card. Right? Or somebody walks into your store, you step in front of him, sign up to the newsletter. Some sites are doing this, right? And this is the reaction of the customers. The customers are reacting like this, and they're saying, hey, I just want information. I just want to be treated like a grown-up, like a good person, right? And here's the thing. I really believe it's not just IT, and it's really not just marketing. We both need to work together to elicit this positive emotion in the customer. Let me introduce you to the final protagonist. This is somebody I spent a lot of time with. He is the CMO of a bank in Germany, and they give really big loans to construction companies in Germany. It's called GEFA Bank, the subsidiary of Societe Generale. If you would like to buy a machine like this, you go to them to ask for a loan. Yeah? now with construction projects, sometimes the bid comes in very quickly and stuff, and you have to see quickly a budget. And so they have built the website, and they said, in a matter of 2 minutes, you can get a quote for a loan in Germany, right? To see approved. You put in, this is the machine I want to buy, this is the crane I want to buy, this is how much money I have, this is how old it is, and it will tell you if you can get it. But then if you want to go further, you need to authenticate who you are. You need to show, I'm Eddie Dueck, I'm Mr. Müller, I'm Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so. And so they put this feature on there, over here, up there. You can do an ID. When online, it scans your face, you can show your ID, and then you get pre-approved, and then you talk directly to a customer representative from the bank. It's very easy, right? And it thinks about how does the customer feel. Now, this is the same principle that they did at the bridge. They had all these people coming, and then they said, okay, we have about 100,000 people now. They have a camera set up so it counts how many people estimates. And they said, let's do something special for number 100,000. So the mayor of that little town, together with another person, they were standing there with flowers and a bottle of champagne, and they were looking, and then they were seeing, and they were saying, oh, this could be number 100,000. And then the person came, it was a couple from Kaiserslautern. They came driving for 2 hours to see this bridge, and they were so happy. They were like, oh, we just wanted to see the bridge, we heard about it, it's awesome, but they had an emotional experience right there. They did not expect it. They did not expect it, right? And I would encourage you to build things that people don't expect from you, right? From your company, whatever. Because if you surprise the people, it will be very easy. It will be very easy to help and win their heart. Now, here's something that I saw recently at an airport, and as a marketing person, sometimes I do really crazy stuff. I was at the airport, and I stood there for 5 minutes, right? And I recorded this with my phone, right? Here we see an ad. Here we see the paradigm of today. The customer is in the center. Yes? And here you see all the people walking by. Now I took a look, and I'm not sure if you noticed, there were some business people, but there were also people going on vacation, mothers with their kids, right? Students who were going by. Now if I'm a business person with a suit, then I'm like, okay, this airline is built for me. It's blue, right? Everything is okay. But if I'm a mom traveling with 2 kids, then I'm not in the heart. Then I'm not in the center. Right? And sometimes you build our websites like this too. You build your website for somebody, right? That somebody was told, but we leave people out in the process. And here's what I would submit to you. People today, more than anything, they need to be understood. They need to be understood. And I'll give you an example. I was at a conference, and here's the thing that was on the conference. You could see what would it be if you could learn something from scratch in a week. What would it be? Think about it. What would you do? Right? What would you learn? What would you get as a skill? Here's what people said, right? You guys are all popular. Everybody wants to be developer. Yeah? I mean, look at this. Yeah? Everybody wants to learn to code. Yes? Play piano. There were some languages. Yeah? It's good. New language. I would learn Polish too, if I could. But then, there was also this. There was this. Swedish, next to letting go. I'm not sure why. So, and there was this too. And there was this. And see, here's the thing. We think that people have a problem with technology, right? But the people don't have a problem with technology. The people have a problem with their life. And if you help them to solve their life, they will have a good experience. Now, I did the test. I went to the App Store, and it doesn't matter if you're with Apple or with Android or whatever. And you know, I looked for an app for empathy. You will not find it. Empathy on the App Store? You will not find it. And so, it doesn't matter where you are right now. It doesn't matter who your customers are. It doesn't matter who your colleagues are or who your boss is. Here's what I would like to submit to you, right? I think your best strategy is to care. Not just to put the customer in the center, but to actually care for your customer. Not to just say, hey, we built this intranet for you, dear employee, dear colleague, but to actually care about his or her goals and things that she wants to do. And then if we do this, then I think we will take the next level, and then we create and we keep up momentum. Now here's how I want to finish. I was a little sad yesterday flying here to Warsaw. And the reason why is I picked up this magazine at the airport. And this magazine is this thick, it's significant, and it talks about the question, how digital is Eastern Europe, right? And they had a map, and then they had this index. Not every country, of course, but the bigger commercial countries they put in there, right? I looked, I was interested, I was like, oh, how's Poland doing, right? And so the green numbers are good, right? The yellow numbers are okay, and the red numbers are difficult, right? It's you're in the red. So let's see how Poland is doing. Let's zoom in. Yeah. One number is greenish, the other ones are yellow. And I was, I was a little sad. And here's why. It's because I think when we look at these things, and of course they're partial, and of course there's like a ranking, and there's research and all this stuff. And I'm not saying let's not listen to the numbers. But I was thinking like if you would read this report, how would that make you feel? Right? How would that make you feel? It's like a book that comes towards you, and you open it up, and you get facts, and they are just facts, black and white, right? But then I thought, you know what? Here in this room, we have the opportunity today to put all the rankings aside, right? And not listen to all the people who say digital transformation and Uber and Amazon and blah, 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 blah. And we have a chance to just bring value to people in your organization, in your customers, wherever you are. And I think if we decide to do that, then maybe together, right? And we are here together with our partner at Liferay. We would like to help you do exactly this. Let's bring value to people. And if we do that, maybe our customers will react just like this. They will look at the things that we have built, at the teams that we have, at the organization that we work for, and they will be like, wow, that's amazing. And this is what I wish for you guys here in Poland. We would love to be on this journey together, and throughout this day you can get to know us. You can ask us questions from marketing side, or from the IT side, from the budget side, whatever it is. We are here to do this. And then, finally, this is my last slide. Let's do something great together, and then it will be worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie.